Call to order of a regular meeting, Goodyear City Council, 14 May 2007. Would you please join Councilmember Holland in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Please bow your head as a sign of respect. To our military on duty here and overseas, please protect them. Our firemen and policemen that guard the home front, please keep them safe. Our community, city, and business leaders, may they make good decisions. Our governor and president, may they work together for a greater America and Arizona. Amen.
Thank you.
The President.
All members of council are present this evening. We do have expenditures to approve and ratify, and those are accounts payable for January, February, March, and April 2007. Are there any questions or comments on those accounts payable? Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve and ratify?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Vice Mayor Cavalier and a second from Councilmember Holland. All those in favor signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. I'd like to now introduce Paula Laro.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Every year, the Goodyear Rodeo raises money for the New Life Center. And this year, through their corporate challenge, they had teams that competed to see who could put boxer shorts on a calf in the shortest period of time. As you can imagine, it's a fun event. And this year, they raised $584 for the New Life Center. So, Mayor Kavanaugh, if you could come down and present the official check to Paul Denial, the Executive Director of the New Life Center. Double duty here. Did you see that?
Thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you, Paula. Now, opportunity for anyone from the public to express their views, their opinions to the council on any subject that is not on this evening's agenda. Would anyone from the public wish to express a view on a non-agenda subject? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda, and I'll ask the clerk to read the items by title only, please.
Item A, council will consider approving draft minutes of a regular meeting held on April 23, 2007, and a special meeting held on April 26, 2007. Item B, council will consider for possible action adopting Resolution 07-1146, declaring as a public record certain documents filed with the city clerk. Second part of that recommendation is council will consider adopting Ordinance 07-1071, amending Section 9-1-1 of Article 9-1 of Chapter 9 of the City of Goodyear Code to provide for the adoption of codes and regulations for buildings, structures, and uses thereof, providing for repeal of existing provision of the City Code, providing for separability, and providing for an effective date. Item C, council will consider for possible action approving restructuring and self-insuring the city's short-term disability coverage and utilize a third party to administer the plan. D, council will consider awarding a contract to Mariposa Horticultural Enterprises in the amount of $299,841.06 to maintain the landscaping on certain city right-of-ways. Item E, council will consider approving a request from Randy Nations representing Beverages and More Incorporated for a Series 6 liquor license number 060700178 for BevMo Bar Liquor Store located at 15405 West McDowell Road. Item F, council will consider approving the final plat for Las Brisas Phase 2A, subdividing 89.1 acres into 296 single-family lots, generally located 1/2 mile north of the northeast corner of Perryville Road and Broadway Road within the Las Brisas planned area development, subject to stipulations. Item G, council will consider approving a condominium plat for Canyon Trails Court Homes encompassing 13.5 acres and 81 condominiums units generally located 1/4 mile east of the northeast corner of Cotton Lane and Van Buren Street within the Canyon Trails planned area development, subject to stipulations. Item H, council will consider adopting ordinance 071070, providing for conditional rezoning of 18.2 acres of property from the agricultural zoning district to the general commercial zoning district for a property located at the southwest corner of Bullard Avenue and McDowell Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 069025 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date. Item L, council will consider approving a special use permit to allow RV and boat storage on a 5-acre parcel, expanding the existing Goodyear self-storage business generally located north of the northeast corner of MC 85 and Litchfield Road, subject to stipulations.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone on council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Okay, I have to remove L. I have to remove I, as I, in another profession, represent one of the principals in that transaction. So you've got it, Frank? Oh, no. Okay, okay, so we'll do A through H, correct?
Right.
Okay, could I have a motion, please?
Move we approve items 8A through, or 7A through 7H.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Lord. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Cavalier,
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Antoniak,
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Lord,
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Okay, we'll now move to I, 7I.
I'll take it from there. Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor,
Yes.
would you entertain a motion for 7I?
I will entertain a motion to approve a special use permit as stated in letter I.
That's it.
You move?
So, I'll move that we approve
Have a
item
second.
8I, or 7I as read by the clerk.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Antoniak and a second from Councilwoman Holland. Any discussion? We can do this by, we don't have to have a roll call vote, do we?
No.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Show that the motion passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to the business part of our agenda. We have 2 items on our agenda. The first one is the letter of intent between City of Goodyear and Franklin Pierce College, and it's to consider adopting a letter of intent between those 2 principals. And here again, I have to recuse myself for perception associated with a potential. So, you've got it.
Okay. Okay, will the clerk read the Let me get to the right page here. Caught me off guard. Okay, could I have city clerk?
You just need a motion.
Oh, I just need a motion? Okay. Could I have a motion on 07-0069, letter of intent between City of Goodyear and Franklin Pierce College?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Lord, second by Councilman Antoniak. Discussion?
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Just point of order, does the Deputy City Manager have any presentation?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's standing there in anticipation.
Well,
looking at me.
Put him off
Say,
guard,
if there was,
so.
well, not only that, we have a representative here from Franklin Pierce, and I think we would like to hear from him also. So, Jim, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council, I am here a second time to present to you another letter of intent between the City of Goodyear and an institution of higher learning. In this case, it is Franklin Pierce College, soon to be Franklin Pierce University. Extremely proud of this endeavor and very pleased with the document I have before you. I'll give you some brief highlights, but let me say up front, it is very similar in form and content to the previous letter of intent that you approved a few months ago for the University of Incarnate Word. I will highlight or give you an overview and also point out a couple of the minor distinctions between that last document and this one, just so you're clear on what it contains. But in the end, it is really an agreement that presents a foundation or a starting point for the city to then negotiate with Franklin Pierce in developing a lease agreement for the use of city land to develop a college campus. In summary, this letter of intent indicates that the city will provide Franklin Pierce College 30 acres of land in the 100-acre, what's called the 100-acre park, to be utilized for a campus. 20 acres would be developed initially with 10 acres saved in reserve, very similar to the last LOI, or identical to the last LOI, actually. This will be at a rate of $1 per year for 30 years with 2 10-year rollover options. During the interim period when the 20 acres was being used and developed as a college campus, those additional 10 acres saved in reserve would be developed by the college as a recreational area to give use of it by our citizens as well as any college students that may be nearby. One of the distinctions between the previous letter of intent and this one is the fact that it includes an accommodation that the city will work with Franklin Pierce in developing a concept for disposing of the land, i.e. their potential purchase of it. They'd like to at least entertain that as an option. It doesn't say we will sell it to them, but it says we will work on a means of allowing that to happen. So that would be, however that is constructed, it would come back to the council for approval. But I want it clearly understood that they have a long-term desire for ownership in that property, and leasing in and of itself is not their long-term goal. One of the key elements as far as benefits to the city of Goodyear, again similar to the previous LOI, is that our residents, employees, and their families would receive a 15% tuition discount for classes, programs, and educational opportunities at the Goodyear campus. This would remain in effect for the duration of the lease. Another distinction in this agreement versus the other one is that they would like to work on a mutually agreeable cap for that reimbursement, because if the campus becomes as popular as we all envision and the programs are as well attended as we hope, out of respect for the fact that that kind of a discount could become rather large over time, and to protect them from how much exposure they would have, they've asked for some level of assurance as to how much we would pursue. So again, this doesn't dictate what form that will take or what value it will be. It just says that we will work on a mutually agreed upon limit, so it's something that all parties would find acceptable. The last element I'll point out is that the school, it has an opt-out clause. Should they not be able to raise the financing in the over the period of the lease, they will have the opportunity to back out of this agreement to help protect the city in that sense, so that we don't have land locked up for a college campus that never materializes and thus is a loss to our citizens. We do allow for the $1 per year lease for a period of 5 years. In the 6th year, if there's still no campus, the lease rate would escalate to 1/2 the then market value. 7th year, if there's still no functional campus as defined by the agreement, the lease rate would go up to the full then market value. So those stipulations help provide the school with incentives to build their campus within a 5-year period. And that doesn't mean in full. They will certainly have opportunities to expand and grow over many years, but at least having an operational initial phase set up in the 20 acres will meet the intent of this agreement, still allow future buildings and future development to occur, but will ensure that it doesn't remain a blank piece of dirt for an extended period of time. And again, that is the same as the previous LOI as far as the conditions and criteria go. That being said, those are the main points of this letter of intent. The next step from here forward would be, assuming with council approval and with the approval of the Franklin Pierce Board of Trustees, the city would begin working with their representatives on negotiating a lease agreement. That lease agreement will be predicated on all these points. The reason for this is that it gives us a common understanding of where we're all heading, so that hopefully the lease agreement is a formality. There would certainly be a lot more detail in the lease than what you see before you, but the major points are covered here, and it ensures we're all on common ground. That concludes my overview. I did want to point out that Raymond Vanderriet from Franklin Pierce is here. He can certainly answer any questions and offer any comments for council. I did want to point out that Raymond and everyone at Franklin Pierce, they have been incredible to work with. They've been an utter joy for everyone on staff, have made this process go much more smoothly than it could have or maybe necessarily would have. And so we on staff have truly enjoyed the partnership that we've forged with Franklin Pierce and look forward to a very successful long-term partnership and campus here in Goodyear. So with that, I can answer any questions, or Raymond is available as well.
Do I have any questions or comments from the public at this time? Raymond, would you like to make a comment to the council? Or make yourself available anyway for questions?
Just, I'll keep it brief. My name is Raymond Vanderriet. I'm the Vice President for Strategic Initiatives at Franklin Pierce College, soon to be, as of July 1st, Franklin Pierce University. I want to thank the council, the mayor, and the city staff for everything they've done in developing this initiative, and now most recently culminating in the development of this letter of interest. And we, as of 5:30 this afternoon, an ad hoc subcommittee of the Board of Trustees has voted to endorse and strongly recommend to the full Board of Trustees of Franklin Pierce College the letter of interest as written. Now, I would ask you to look favorably upon that agreement. We thank you for extending us the opportunity to execute on that agreement. As we go forward, our board will be meeting on June 7th and June 8th, and at that time, assuming the LOI is approved tonight, it would self-execute pending that discussion at that meeting. And I'm available for questions if anybody would like to ask.
Council have any questions?
I just have one.
Comments? Yes.
Has there been any, Raymond, Jim, has there been any discussion about how long we will allow the land to be there without starting any kind of building or anything? I mean, has there been a time frame discussed?
Thank you for the question. The time frame, the clock, if you will, would be triggered by the lease agreement. So until that happens, there's no time and place. Once the lease agreement is signed by all parties and determined to be in effect, the 5-year point, the 5-year period of $1 per year goes into effect, and then that 6th year is when we go into the escalating lease rate, and then the 7th year the full rate. So that 5-year period starts when the lease is executed by both parties.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Jim, the understanding here is that unless they have the letter of intent, the college itself cannot proceed with any action within the state of Arizona unless they have this letter of intent in hand. Is that correct?
To be honest, I'm not sure that may be the case. However, the real reason behind this, what started us down the path of a letter of intent, is that we believed that with such an intricate lease agreement as would be involved here with leasing city land for a campus, that rather than trying to bite the whole thing at once, we wanted to take a small baby step to ensure we were all on the same page and that council and their board of trustees were in concurrence with the direction we were heading. And then, as I said, this provides a good platform upon which to base the lease agreement itself. What you may be referring to is that there is a licensure requirement in the state that until they are licensed by the state of Arizona, they cannot pursue any endeavors in the state. They cannot even advertise in the state as a college or university. So this letter of intent does not necessarily impact their licensure, but again, puts us all on common ground for moving forward with the lease.
Well, the same agreement was in place with the Incarnate Word.
That is correct, sir, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilwoman Lord?
Just for the public consumption, we are including the universities in the master plan that we're doing in the city center. Is that correct?
That is correct. All stakeholders for the 140 acres that will be analyzed in the master plan, those stakeholders will be involved, and that does include the universities.
And I think this letter of intent certainly is embedded with sincerity on the city's part and on Franklin Pierce's part. And you have exhibited all along this process that you really care about Goodyear and that you're very excited about coming to a city of this quality. And I'm looking forward to all of this to be completed, and we see a hole dug in that earth for you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We certainly echo your sentiments of what we found in the city of Goodyear in regard to a genuine engagement of the academic institutions. And Franklin Pierce has a very strong mission that fits very nicely with the city of Goodyear. Our mission essentially revolves around the place of the individual and community, and that means the teaching students how they fit within community, their responsibility within community, and the importance of their active engagement of community, not a passive engagement. And so what we would bring to the city is exactly that reinforcement of what you already stand for in our eyes. And we thank you for the opportunity.
I'd like just to add one more thing to that, and that is because I had the opportunity to visit your campus in Rindge, New Hampshire, and this organization, this college, soon to be university, is a class organization. It is tough as far as I'm concerned, and I think we're very fortunate to have a college, soon to be university, come to our city and especially with the private institution being a fairly unique situation for the state of Arizona because we have so few private four-year institutions, and this being a four-year institution of higher learning that your liberal arts program being the heart of your university. So we really are looking forward to having Franklin Pierce come to the city of Goodyear, and I'm very excited about this. I think this is one of the most exciting things we have had happen to us. So we welcome you with, as far as I'm concerned, with open arms, if I could be so blunt as to state it as personal as I can. I also was embarrassed one day when I was speaking to Raymond, and I said, who was Franklin Pierce? And I had forgotten he was our 14th president of the United States. But I went back and did some research since then, Raymond. I was totally embarrassed by the fact that I couldn't remember the name. I knew Pierce was our president, but I didn't know his first name was Franklin. For some reason, I missed that. And, you know, when I was in grade school, I learned the presidents of the United States. But he was the only president that came from the state of New Hampshire, and the state of New Hampshire is very proud of that representation, and the university carries that through. So I think it's just a very proud thing to do, and a very nice thing to have heard. So thank you very much. Any other comments? Okay, at this time, then I would ask for a call for a motion.
You've got a motion on the table.
Do we have a motion on the table? We do have a motion on the table. Okay. And I have a second.
Yes.
And at this point, I'll call for a vote. And it's, we don't need a roll call vote, do we? No, this is not a roll call vote. So all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, show that passes 6-0. Thank you.
Another significant step.
That's a good question for the Are You as Smart as a Fifth Grader? Have you seen?
That's
That's a good one. They know their presidents right now.
I know.
Thank you, Frank. We'll now move to memorandum of understanding for El Rio plan implementation.
Mayor and Council, the final master plan for the El Rio project was approved by this council on March 27th in 2006. Since that time, the partners in this project have been working together to try to figure out a way to implement and fund the plan. The first step is this MOU between the 5 partners. Those partners are the City of Avondale, the Town of Buckeye, City of Goodyear, Maricopa County Flood Control District, and Maricopa County acting through its parks and its planning departments. The MOU provides a framework for 4 committees in order to work on the implementation and funding, which will take probably a very long time to do on this 20 to 30-year plan to implement this whole thing. So I have here tonight Jen Pekorski from the Flood Control District to give you a short PowerPoint presentation and tell you the points of the MOU. Jen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. Just start out a little bit of background on the El Rio Watercourse Master Plan. The vision was established by the communities and the project partners and the citizens in 1999 to provide flood control and protect public safety, but also maintain the natural capacity of the river. And in 2006, the plan was completed, and then, as Paula mentioned, was adopted by all of the project partners. This graphic shows the recommended alternative. The orange line at the top of the river is a levee that would be buried in landscape, so it would blend in with the natural landscape. The south bank is mostly hard rock, and there will be some areas of bank protection. And then throughout, you can see where it connects into trail systems, and also provides for environmental enhancements and revegetation with native plants, such as the research and development site, which is currently ongoing in Goodyear in the Estrella Mountain Regional Park. As Paul also mentioned, that the plan is vast. It covers 18 miles and costs probably about $150 million to implement. requires coordination among many different entities and organizations, and over a long time frame, probably 10 to 20 years. So looking at all of those challenges to implement, the project partners discussed and came up with the idea of developing a memorandum of understanding to establish a formal framework for cooperation and also demonstrate the commitment of all the project partners to implementing the El Rio. The MOU organizes 4 committees, and the committees I'll touch on a little bit later in a little bit more detail, but they serve as a communication channel for activities going on in the project area. They also will help research, funding, and other implementation possibilities, and also look at incorporating any recommendations into community plans and also be responsive to community needs in the area. This flowchart shows the 4 committees. There's a steering committee, which is like a policy committee, and then the 2 working groups, which are the admin committee and the technical committee, and it also provides for input from the citizens. The steering committee would be comprised of elected officials, 1 elected official from each of the cities, and then also 1 from Maricopa County. And they would provide the direction and guidance for the rest of the working group and also receive input from the citizen committee. The administrative committee would be a director level or city and town manager, and they would work with the steering committee to develop recommendations, give guidance to their staff for areas to research, and also be the main communication channel. The technical committee is staff level with representatives from each of the communities and the county, about 3 from each project partner, and then also they would do a lot of the research and also the work, kind of the workhorses of the team, and then they would bring those recommendations to the administrative committee, who would then take that to the steering committee. The Citizens Advisory Group would be appointed by the steering committee and consist of representatives from each of the project partners, such as large landowners, business owners, citizens at large, and also there would be 3 at-large members. If the council sees fit to adopt the agreement, the next steps would be to determine the membership of the committees, to host a meeting within 30 days of execution of the MOU by all parties to identify key issues and then work on coordinating activities. And then the MOU also allows for an annual reporting requirement where every year a report would be presented to the steering committee and also to the councils regarding activities that were accomplished during that year, and also any recommendations on funding or implementation. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll get right back to you, and Paula. First, let me ask for any comments from the public. Okay, I'd like to have a motion, please, and the motion would be to adopt a memorandum of understanding for El Rio plan implementation.
So moved.
Okay, motion from Vice Mayor Cavalier and a second from Councilmember Holland. It's open for discussion.
I'm just curious, term limits on these committees? How long someone can serve on it? Because it's certainly it's going to be somewhat of a time extension on this. Just curious.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it does not currently allow for term limits, but there are, we could revisit that every year with the annual reporting. So you probably wouldn't be hooked in for the whole 10 to 15
years. Your people will die off before 30 years.
For the whole 10 to 20 years.
Just a concern that I have. I just think it's really important to have this MOU for the sustainability of this committee and to the ultimate goal of what you're doing. I think it's great.
I had one question.
Councilmember Osborne.
Regarding the staff, would this be a city staff project, or would we need specific? Is this a full-time job by staff? What were you thinking when you said staff?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we, the administrative committee, so the city managers would appoint the staff. We're looking probably about three staff per agency, not necessarily a full-time job, but and also incorporating different skill sets between each project partner, like planning, engineering, public involvement, whatever is needed. So they could rotate in. It wouldn't necessarily, it's a flexible agreement. It wouldn't necessarily have to commit one particular staff member for the whole time. It would just be as skills are needed.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is very small. When will all of this begin, beyond the staffing and the paperwork and all of the administration that must take place first? When can we actually see some work being done in the riverbed? That is, like, for instance, getting the salt cedar removed and new plants being replaced.
Mr. Vice Mayor, we have a project going on right now in Bullard and Vineyard Road, and it's called the El Rio Research and Development Site, and the district cleared the riverbed of salt cedar and then also is currently in the process of replanting with native cottonwoods, willows, mesquites, and we're planting at different densities to see what densities are needed to outcompete the salt cedar. And we should be aiming for our grand opening in September, and we're going to have a kiosk there and also a trail so members of the public can come and see the research plot in place. So, and then as the MOU gets executed, we'll be looking at identifying the next projects along the way cooperatively.
Thank you very much.
Mayor.
And I also noticed that you'll be asking for some of the elected officials to sit in on this, and we'll make it, one of us will make it our project to kind of bring back information to the council. And I'm very excited about it. There were a couple of us that went out on the tour, and just see the possibilities. And if the public hasn't had a chance to go out there yet, I mean, it is just, it's unbelievable until you see it. We actually have water here in Arizona.
Okay, thank you.
And we have water, too.
Yeah.
You know, Laurie, this is another commitment from council, Centennial Committee and a few others. I think we probably need to come together with the council on how we're going to divvy up these duties. So there's a couple long-term duties. So.
See, I don't think I have any more than 20 years there.
Yeah, some of us you have to count out.
Ms. Pekorski, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. Nice presentation.
Thank you. Also, the plan has also won some awards by state professional organizations, and it's through commitment of Goodyear that helped make the plan great. We wanted to present those to you, and I have Scott Schlund from Stantec Consulting who helped develop the plan here. Just to, if I may, have you recommend.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Scott Schlund. I'm the local leader of Stantec Consulting. You heard tonight a great presentation about the future of El Rio. That project is going into implementation now. But before implementation, there was quite a bit of planning and engineering that went into that. Stantec Consulting was responsible for that under the leadership of the Flood Control District. I want to tell you, it was such a project for me, it was a career project to be working on. This community was one of the leaders in the success of this project. All of the citizens were involved in coming to our meetings. Staff were also very engaged, including Paula, which showed us the way through the community. And also Mayor and Council also gave us great support. With that, and I think because of that, the project did win a number of awards. The first award that I'd like to present is the Arizona Consulting Engineers Council Honor Award for Engineering Excellence. And this names all of the project partners, including your community, on it. The second award is from the Arizona Planning Association. And this won the prestigious Best Regional Plan for all of Arizona for your efforts. And we want to thank you and your community for all the support that you gave the project.
Thank you very much.
Where would you like your awards?
Harvey, you want to? I think Harvey's a member of that planning association.
Yes, he is. Hope you voted for it.
I was going to say, he was on the judging panel, wasn't he?
Thank you very much.
Thank you again for all your commitment.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Opportunity now for council to comment
Did
on
we
any...
vote? Did we vote on the motion on the table, Mayor?
I thought we did.
No, you didn't, you
Oh, I
didn't
don't
vote.
think
Seems like it.
we did. The celebration, it sounds like we did. You have a motion on the table for the MOU.
Yeah, okay. So I don't need a roll call, right?
You need a motion.
Yep, I got it.
We have a motion.
Yeah.
You need to vote.
Yeah, I just need to...
We need to vote.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it, 7-0. Now, opportunity for any member of council to comment to the public on current events. Opportunity for city manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'd like Jim to update you on one project.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to give you a brief heads up regarding the Park and Recreation Division of Public Works. For those who haven't heard, they have relocated. This was done in light of the consolidation of our fire and police admin staff from throughout the city over to Veneta. That freed up some space for us that allowed us to then relocate Park and Recreation over at Fire Station 183. That's the station right next to the community park on Litchfield. It really is a big help to everyone, including the public, who will be served better through this, because trying to navigate through their previous location at the Public Works Yard was certainly a challenge at times. So now they're in some new office space that's been freed up at the fire station. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we congratulate them on the move and look forward to continued great things from them. Can I answer any questions
How
for
much
you?
space are they going to have there?
That I don't know the specific space.
People.
Oh, roughly about a half dozen. Is that about a half dozen? And that includes their programming folks and whatnot.
Does it affect the fire at all? Does it affect you at all from the standpoint of space?
No, sir, we relocated and combined our two administrative spaces at 181 and 183 to two spaces.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's a good location, actually.
That's what we thought. Any no other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
The only follow-up item we have is in conjunction with the work session, and that was in terms of the funding for police with the corresponding impact related to the courts and to the prosecution. And what was the other? I believe that was it.
Okay.
Oh, and sir, we need a new date for when you would like to discuss the CIP. Ken wants to
We'd
come
like
back.
to do it on a Monday in conjunction with our meeting, right? We don't want a special.
Right. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I believe we had also had an alternate date on your schedule of the 29th for the CIP presentation. The reason we tried to utilize tonight is just trying to give you as much advanced opportunity to look at the final draft as possible. But if it's acceptable to everyone, we can go back to the follow-up date of the 29th.
Sounds good.
And it's a Monday.
As long as I can
Monday
get
or
together
Tuesday.
before I leave.
Oh, sorry, it's a Tuesday. Monday, the 28th is a holiday.
There's a possibility I can sit down with you beforehand to debrief with someone on it.
Sure, most definitely, we can make that arrangement for any council member that may need that assistance.
Is that going to give folks enough time if there's any adjustments to the tentative budget?
It should, yes. Well,
It's the same night.
it is the same night, and as Larry would indicate, what we've tried to do is separate budget from CIP, where budget is bottom line dollars. They are what they are. CIP is how we use those dollars. So within the funds we have available, we can make any changes, but the hope is that because you've seen the first draft a few months ago, you've given us lots of great feedback. We've incorporated it into the new CIP. It should meet all of your needs as they were, and unless there have been any major changes, the hope is that it's in line with what you want.
Yes, sir. Steve.
I noticed there's some activity where we're funding the announcement board, electronic announcement board at the park.
Yes.
Can you give us a progress report on that?
Actually, I can't, but possibly Cato can. This is I assume the announcement board over at the community park that we've been working on for a while.
I know there's been some activity there.
Right.
What's going
Cato,
on?
do you have any information you can provide?
It's being installed now.
I'm sorry?
Mayor and Council. It's being installed now, Mayor and Council. We can come back and give you a schedule during our weekly reporting on that. I don't know the exact.
But it is in the process of being installed.
Yes.
Okay, fine. That's all.
For everyone's information, this is a signboard that's being added over at the community park, and it's been in various stages of development for some time, so apparently we're now seeing some activity go on, and you should see the signboard up in the near future. And as Cato committed, we will give you a better update in your next weekly report as to milestones and when it'll be complete.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, next week you have two items. One, the CFD 101 course, what is the latest in CFD, and you also have the community funding discussions.
514.
Right. Am I a week ahead of myself?
So that's 2 weeks out.
We have a meeting, the work session 514.
21st.
Today's not the 7th.
Today's 14th.
Today's the 14th. The 21st is CFD and the community funding. So is that the night that all the parties come in and talk to the council?
They don't do that anymore. Yeah.
That is where the council subcommittee.
Makes a recommendation.
And we did that.
We did it.
It's been done this year?
Okay.
It's already finished.
Good.
So the subcommittee is now the one that's going to provide comments to the mayor and council, so you guys can look at that, and then that's rolled into the budget as well.
I need to learn more about what the CFDs are. I don't know exactly what they are. So.
It wouldn't be a bad idea for maybe Scott or Sheila or Larry to spend a couple hours on CFDs with Joanne. It is a different subject.
It is.
I haven't done that one yet.
And you also mentioned about having the CFD 101. Is that what you were kind of referring to it? Did you kind of tell us where you are now?
That's where we are, and a little more in depth.
A little more change.
And I guess the question, as the discussion was going on, is how many of you want to be engaged in that 2-hour discussion about CFDs? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Is that what? Go ahead.
Yeah, the CFD session that we scheduled for the 21st is to bring out to give some background for all of you at different levels, but also to bring out some policy issues that as we go forward with the CFDs, we've got some people wanting to sell some bonds. We want to make sure we roll everything by you, what the impacts are and so forth. We can keep that time relatively limited depending on how much dialogue there is with the city council. I think, Mayor Kavanaugh, your point of Councilmember Osborne having a special session that's more in-depth might make some sense because it is a relatively complex subject. We really don't have this program to completely go through all of the nuances of the CFDs, and we'll be happy to do that with any of you, either in another session or individually.
And you kind of did that when we first got started, so that we would understand what we were getting into.
So, Larry, how much time will you need for the CFD on Monday night?
For the issues that we have, development of those issues, I would say we would need probably close to a half hour. The question then becomes how much interaction there will be on the issues. The specific issues that we have relate to the amounts of what we call standby agreements that developers want to issue more than the property tax limit, and also the size of assessment bonds and how all of that is reflected on property tax rates for individual parcels for your future citizens. So I would say a half hour plus council discussion.
Okay. And the second question to the mayor and council members, it relates to the subcommittee. How much time do you believe that community funding is going to take next week?
15 minutes?
Yeah, at the most.
Okay. I guess I'm leading you up to the question, do you want to talk about CIP next Monday night after those two items? Okay, so Ken will be ready on Monday night. Yeah.
Because all the work has been done on that, so
You know, it used to take several days.
We'll do it next Monday.
would be great. We're getting smarter.
Okay. Will that work, Mayor?
Yeah, much.
And I'll pray for the next 6 or 7 evenings that community funding will take 15 minutes.
That is
Well, the
all.
staff did all the
Okay,
work.
great, thank you. Any inquiries of staff by council? I just have one. This vent.
I know, it's a killer.
It really, something has to be done. You're going to have some old men wearing wigs up here. And you really don't want that to happen. So we need something to correct that.
We'll direct that item to facilities management.
Good move.
Can you take care of that, Cato?
I think I'd like to see him in a
Okay. By Monday?
We actually have it here too, Mayor. I have a hearing.
Do you?
I quite honestly, staff, I'd prefer to see him in a wig.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.